Hello there, and welcome back to TerraFirmaCraft. We are in a cave, as you can tell, with our prospector's pick, looking for, well, copper and other resources. But we just found a medium sample of emeralds. Well, if I found it, I mean it is somewhere within 12 blocks that way, that way, that way, or that way. But right now, I am looking for, well, like I said, copper, use bismuth. I did mark on my minimap all the different locations where I found different resources. So, over there's copper, and there's more copper, and there's even more copper. And then there's some bismuth and some zinc, and we need all three to make bismuth. We need all three to make bismuth bronze. So I'm going to head over to one of those copper deposits and see about trying my hand at finding more copper. And then after we get some more copper and whatnot, we'll see about actually finishing the fence for our pasture and gathering a bunch of animals. Sheep, goats, cow, chickens, quill. You know, the whole menagerie. Maybe I should build an ark. Wait a sec. Ark Wolf builds an ark? That might have a story to it. But yes, you're going to want to make a prospector's pick before too long, because it's how you find, well, ground deposits. And not just these surface nuggets like this hematite. Alright, see, I click here and it says that there's a medium sample of native copper in this area. If I go back this way a little bit, there's nothing. So it's going to be more in this direction. Nothing. We're there. Found a large sample. Ooh. If I go this way, large sample. And if I go this way, traces. So the large sample is in this direction over here. And mind you, it can be quite a bit deeper than just, you know, I don't expect to dig down 3 blocks and find it. Actually, I should have brought blocks that could be used for scaffolding or something. Found a very large sample. Found nothing. Found nothing. Found the rich ore. So this actually didn't take all that long. But here you see what the copper looks like. And you get these rich native copper as opposed to the small native copper. This is worth 3.5 millibuckets. And this will provide me with a lot of copper. Enough that I can actually make a copper anvil. Probably. Let's not get too hasty. Let's remember to put up my support beams. Oh, ran out. That is not where we're supposed to go. Support beams do have a radius. And you absolutely want to be placing them when you're mining, otherwise you will get cave-ins. Wow, this is going to be a lot of copper. Okay, let's take a moment. Okay, some of it's normal, some of it is rich, some of it is poor. So that gives you an idea, right? It's not all going to be rich copper in one vein. Well, there is quite a lot of it. We want an copper anvil, which is going to require 7 double ingots, and naturally a double ingot is 2 single ingots welded together using flux on the stone anvil we have. 1,400 millibuckets of copper, which is going to be a lot. Okay. Guess I'm going to be here for a while. So we'll be back when we get back to our base. Unless I get really unlucky and wind up caving this in on myself. Whoop. I caused the cave-in. This should be my exit over here. Yeah. Maybe I should have made my pit kiln a little bit closer to my anvil. Well, when we have a proper forge setup, we won't have to worry about that. But let's that's still got 5 minutes. So let's grab our flux wherever in the world I put it. Right there. We have to put that in here. Might as well put our anvil in there. And I really don't remember how to do any of this. But I don't think we really worry about. I don't think we need to worry too much about those individual controls to just make a double ingot. But I believe these need to at least be. They can't be cold. Otherwise, it might not work. So we will find out in about 4 minutes. I do have 2 more ingot molds firing up, in addition to the bismuth bronze that I'm going to make a knife out of. I am going to need a new axe and a new shovel. We'll figure it out as we go. See, look, somebody says like a weld can work. So some of them need to still be hot. Can I work? Bright red is weld. I don't think I can heat these up enough to and I can't even combine these. All right. Well, let's yeah, you can stack them like that. It's pretty cool. I wonder, can I use just a plain old fireplace to heat up ingots? Well, I can apparently. It needs to be bright red to weld it. Right. Birch doesn't get hot enough. Oak doesn't get hot enough. I would need something hotter. Well, since we can't make our fire hot enough using just wood, we get to do one of the most fun things in this mod pack. Let's make charcoal pits. The more logs you use, obviously the more charcoal you're gonna get. Gonna do that. Set this first one on fire. And then that. And now we're making charcoal. It's going to take a while for it to finish. And when it is, we can harvest the charcoal like you do ash from in vanilla. Or snow, for that matter. And we can use the charcoal. It burns a lot hotter. And we should be able to melt our copper over a regular fireplace. And the smoke has stopped, so this should all be... Yep, charcoal now. We got 49 charcoal and we put in 64, 128 plus whatever was in that one. It wasn't a full stack. So, I mean, not a ton, not great, but you notice it says it burns at yellow. So if we put that, no, we can't put it in the fireplace, fire pit. Dang it. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, does any wood burn hot enough? Red, dark red, bright red from palm. Bright red from, oh, it's palm still. Bright red from maple. And bright red from hickory. Oh, we're gonna go find us some hickory trees. And I know where there are some. Off in this direction. And maybe that will allow us to weld our copper ingots together to make our anvil. I wanted to make up some bricks. The way you make them, you do the clay napping and you get 3 per craft. And a fire pit can only hold 4 items. So it would take a lot of wood in order to bake up clay. Then I thought, wait, can't I just put them in a vessel? And yes, it appears you can. If you make the unfired brick and put them in a vessel, each vessel can hold 64. So I cooked up 3 stacks of bricks. To actually make any brick with it, you need 5 bricks and 4 mortar. I actually made up a lot of mortar, more than I meant to. But mortar, you take lime water, and you make lime water by putting flux in water. 1 flux for every half bucket. And then adding sand. And it makes 16 per sand block. I put in 32 sand blocks. So now I have 8 stacks of mortar. So that's 4 stacks of bricks I can make eventually. As soon as these cool down to the point I can open them, because it's still too hot, I will have bricks to work with. And then I will start working over here on my charcoal forge. So we just made up some lime water. And what we're going to do is start tanning our hides. I don't think I can put, can't put multiple hides in, so I gotta soak them one at a time. So when this is done, and I believe it takes 8 hours in game, it will move to the next stage, which is a soaked hide. From there, we have to cut it down to a scrapped hide. I will show you that when we're ready. Now, I have also made a small change to the settings. And I didn't know you could do this. If you go to the game menu, go to the create goggles, configure, then access configs for other mods. And well, you see all the different types, all the different mods here on the list. If we go down to TFC, TerraFirmaCraft, go to server config, gent, mechanics, and then vanilla changes, you can go down and enable vanilla mobs on surface. This is normally off. I've set it to be on, so now we can have skeletons, spiders, zombies spawning on the surface at nighttime. That is how it was in the original TerraFirmaCraft that I played all those years ago, and it just adds a little more difficulty, and it was something I was missing. Now, before we were trying to heat up our copper ingots enough with this fire that we could weld them together. That didn't work, but we have an item called a bellows. Takes leather and lumber in order to make, and what the bellows does is it will allow heat source, such as fire, to actually burn hotter, but it burns the fuel faster. Normally you'd use it with a charcoal forge, but I think it will work with a fireplace as well. So that's what we need the leather for. Once we have that, we can see about making the bellows, and then see if we can't heat our copper in our fireplace enough that we can then weld them together, make our anvil, put it over there, and then get started with some of the real metalworking. So we have our first hide soaked. What we do now is we click it onto a log, take our knife, and it's a little hard to see because of the light, but what you're essentially doing is you are scraping the hide by clicking with the knife, taking off the pink bits, and when it's done, it turns into a scraped hide. Now it's ready for the next part. We have to soak it in water. After it's done soaking, it'll be a prepared hide. And then we put it into tannin. You make tannin by soaking logs in water. 1 log for every bucket of water. So we're making up 2 buckets of tannin right now. Once this is done and once the prepared hide is done, the hide goes in here, soaks again. And when that's done, it'll be leather, and we can start, well, crafting things with leather. So we have our first set of leather done. Let's craft up a bellows. That did use up all the leather I just crafted up, but we do have more tanning right now. So as I said before, we can use this bellows, and it might work with a fireplace. I'm not sure. We're going to have to find that out once it's safe to go outside. I picked the worst day to make mobs spawn on the surface. It is literally rained and thunderstormed all day. Oh, it finally got sunny as I said that. There's timing for you. But we now have some leather. And if I go to sewing, okay, so this has the sewing kit mod, and that's how you make armor. It's a little different than how it was. All right, well, with what little sunlight I have left, I'm going to keep building up my walls, so I actually have a location I can stay in when it's raining out. Barn's almost done, which is good because in a few days we can go out and collect a whole bunch of farm animals. But I'm going to look up how to make that was very rude. I'm going to look up how to make the sewing kit and start seeing if I can make myself some leather armor. Alright, so we've got some hickory in here, which gets into bright red. And remember, copper, we need it to be, I think it's bright red in order to be workable. And we've got our andesite anvil right here. So what happens once we have 2 of these ready, we can put it on the anvil and combine them, I think with a hard hit. So what we've got here is our bellows and our fire pit with hickory logs. And we're just going to test to see if the bellows will allow it to get hot enough to allow me to actually work the metal. All right, so it can work at dark red. It's bright red. Needs to be a little bit hotter, and then we can... There we go. Bright red with 3 stars is hot enough to weld. Now we are going to have to jump back and forth a little bit once we get this one hot enough. Because you see this one's cooling down while we wait for this to get hot. But once they're both hot, it should be much easier to balance it out. There we go. Shift click allows you to shift click allows you to actually weld them together. And now once I get 7 of these, I can finally make a copper anvil, and we can actually use the anvil to craft items instead of molds. And after nearly 2 days in game, we have our 7 double ingots. Now we can craft up a copper anvil. Do I want to put it over here for now? Might as well. Grab that off there. We can now... We out of... Oh yeah, we've used up all of our copper. Or at least all of our copper ingots. What's the odds I can heat up some copper hot enough in the vessel without having to make a another pit kiln? I'm gonna need a pit kiln anyway. I put my fireplace in the corner, and now I have this. Well, it's a good thing I was making progress on the rest of the house. Almost all of the thatch burned away. Not too much of the wood though. That's a relief. So we've made some progress on the house since the little incident. Yeah, I usually play with FireTick on because, well, it's a little more difficulty. But how do I put this? I'm going to be turning FireTick off. Yeah, you'll see on Friday with my Vault Hunter episode, but I've had some fun with FireTick in the past 2 days. And, well, if I had a nickel for every time my base is burned down due to FireTick, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't much, but strange that it's happened twice in 1 week. So, let's go inside. I'll show you what we're doing. This is sort of the idea I was talking about with this open concept, I guess. Floor plan. You can look down. I'll have a chandelier hanging down, I think. I'll have rooms back there. Not sure exactly how it's going to be laid out. Up here is going to be one room. Here's another room. This area will be a 3rd room, but I think it'll be more of a storage room. Go downstairs into the kitchen. I am trying to smoke some meat. It takes a long time though, so I don't know if it's really worth it. We also built the brick oven from Life, which is how you bake actual bread. Because in in TerraFirmaCraft, the way you make bread is normally you just take the dough, you combine it with water, you take flour, you combine it with water, you get dough, and then you cook that dough in a fire, and you get bread loaves. Firma Light, that recipe, this one here, turns into flatbread, which, well, becomes flatbread, which can't really combine with food. You can only eat it as Well, I'd like you to eat matzo, although you could put peanut butter, other stuff on matzo, but you can't really do much with it. In order to make actual dough, to make actual bread, you need your flour, sugar or honey, and yeast. And then you make the actual dough, which you then cook in the brick oven, which makes bread, which can then be turned into sandwiches. Or slices, apparently. Or toast. To make garlic bread. I don't like garlic bread. My sister does, though. She loves it. The way you make yeast... Here we go. Yeast starter. You start with water and dried fruit. That turns into yeast starter, and once you have a yeast starter, a bit of grain, a bit of flour will increase it by 500 milk buckets. To make one batch of dough, you need a full bucket of yeast. So that's how you make yeast to make bread. You notice I'm got a lot more barrels going. We're gonna have pretty much a pickle barrel for everything, and this will be getting much bigger. But we're essentially trying to expand our food storage because it is almost winter. It is early autumn. It's September 11th. Huh. Okay. And the apples should be ready soon. And I'm going to need the food to last through the winter. And so if you see here with these preserved potatoes in vinegar, they're good for almost 2 years. I have carrots up here, which are good for well over 2 years. So we're going to be using barrels with vinegar, and we're going to be pickling our vegetables so that they preserve for a long time, so we don't have to worry about harvests all that much. I mean, I'm still going to need to harvest stuff, but it doesn't have to be a #1 priority. And made a bunch more copper. We got our copper anvil over here. We've got all of our charcoal, and this is our charcoal forge. It's not quite ready to go yet. When it is, though, and this is all going to be bricked over, so I don't have to worry about burning down the house again, we'll be able to actually start crafting tools with copper and other forms of ingots. The bismuth bronze here. Go on, want to make the bronze? Actually, I should light up a few of these. Actually see better. I need to make a bismuth bronze anvil before I can make bismuth bronze tools on the anvil. But if you make a tool on the anvil, you can go here, see, say a copper pick head. You see this? Punch, bend, draw. Not last, not last, last. Means you have to use these and these to move the bar up to here, and you need to end on punch. So when you hit punch with the hammer, right before here, it will actually complete it, and depending on how good a job you do, you will actually get bonuses to your tool. I don't remember what the bonuses are, if they're like enchantments or not. We'll have to figure that out later. But we're going to call it an end for today. I hope you've enjoyed. It's been an experience, I'll put it that way. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Later.